our very first guest on Playtime. He is one of the most recognizable streamers on Twitch with just under 5 million followers. Never bashful, he's usually ready to speak his mind freely. Please welcome everybody, TSM Mid.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Welcome.
Sorry for stepping on your shoe.
Take a seat. Welcome. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
Yeah, you ready to hopefully get crushed by some of these guys in the audience?
Yes. Dude, I've seen some of them cranking their 90s in Playground.
Oh, you guys have been practicing in Playground already. Dang.
Yes.
Okay, neither of us have warmed up, but
okay.
We'll just do our best. Yeah. So I want to start today off by talking a little bit about your brand. And one of the ways that you choose to represent yourself is motivating your audience and making sure that they feel that positive messaging from you and they're reaching and, like, you know, changing their lives. So one of the pinned tweets you actually have on your Twitter, I was hoping that you could take a look at it for us, maybe give a little bit of backstory behind it and read it for us.
Yeah, cool. For sure. So believe in your ability to grow, believe in your ability to change, believe in your ability to be the best, believe in your ability to conquer, believe in your ability to love, believe in your ability to be happy, keep believing. Good night. And basically a little like context beforehand, it was like on that tweet is, it was currently like while I was like blowing up on Twitch, and I realized like all these things are happening and changing, and I wanted to put out something that kind of reflects like what I try to put out in my stream before I went to bed, like on a really good night. And the message behind it is just like develop a sense of inner positivity and inner motivation that is based off of good morals and logic to chase and follow your dreams.
Definitely, I love that. And so the significance behind the good night is that something that you say to yourself before you go to bed?
I mean, yeah, sometimes.
I love that. So it's been a year now since you wrote that tweet. How has it gone for you? How would you describe your past year?
It's been a wild ride of emotions. It's been a lot of ups, a lot of downs, but overall I think I'm in a good place now to just like keep coasting and working toward bigger and better things.
Yeah. I love that. So I do have some questions for you.
Yeah.
We're going to start off with my kitty questions. So anyone that follows my community, they know that I have these questions that I ask often. We can kind of do it spitfire. And we're going to go through this, and then I'm going to get into your family and your life, and I want to hear all about it. So what are 3 things that you appreciate right now?
3 things that I appreciate right now: my Twitch community, my family, and the things that I've learned over the past year in terms of like inner growth and self-growth.
Can you share any of those with us right now? Yeah,
of course. I mean, so being a public figure at the age of 18, 19 is definitely something that is scary at times, and it's something that has like, you have a lot of responsibility as a public figure, and learning how to manage that and work around it correctly was definitely something that I think, you know, people seen me go through. Like I had a lot of, I was very like angsty in the earlier stages of things, and I kind of like gone away from that and learned to be like a better community figure / role model, I think.
Do you feel like it's caused you to mature quicker?
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. Like I tell people all the time, it's like if you blow up in this industry when you're young, it's like you either you could sync with it, or you could learn, adapt, and become a better person with it and grow with it.
I love that. Yeah. Great. Okay, so who is the most underrated human that you know?
The most underrated human that I know? My mom's.
Oh, love that. We're going to talk a little bit about that soon. Okay, what is your favorite thing about yourself?
My favorite thing about myself is probably my ability to self-reflect on what I do, who I am, and just everything in general.
I love that. What is the hardest thing that you've overcome in this lifetime?
The hardest thing that I've overcome this life, fall damage. Yeah.
So like a little bit of background to that. Actually, almost a year ago, you were here at the Ninja event, and I think that might have been your fall damage debut.
That was the moment, dude. That was when Cease knocked me off of the mountain with his ramp. And he got the rarest bug in the game.
Ramp glitch, man. Yeah, but that was pretty iconic. Actually, I think that actually ended up helping you.
Yes, it is a meme, huge meme. It still is. It's beautiful. Well, people say myth damage as fall damage now. It's like iconic. I love it.
Because it wasn't the last time that happened.
Oh, no.
No. Sorry for bringing that up again.
Okay.
So what is the most satisfying feeling in Fortnite?
The most satisfying feeling in Fortnite, I think it'd have to be just like winning a competitive lobby. Like getting into an insane situation, late game, 30 players alive on like a moving circle or 40 players alive, and you find a way to navigate, take high ground, and you're just like in control of the map and the space.
And just pinging people off.
Yeah,
yeah.
There's
really
nothing better, yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So if money was not a factor, what would you be doing right now?
If money was not a factor, what would I be doing? I actually have a huge passion for agriculture and automated agriculture. So I think like that would probably be something that I would be doing.
Whoa,
Yeah.
okay. Wow, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, so I think farming is interesting. I don't know, it's just like a weird like passion of mine, and I think it's like an industry that's and recently it's developing quite quickly, and like you got vertical farming and automated farming as well is kind of like taking off right now, and I think it's just something that like really interests me, like piques my interest.
So after you win Worlds and
Yeah.
you take home all that money, you can retire and research farming.
Exactly.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go back to school.
Yeah, awesome. What are you most proud of?
What am I most proud of? I think I'm most proud of the community that I've been able to build in the past year, and just being able to, like, I went from basically, you know, like watching Twitch streams every day before school in like middle school and high school, and then being able to like go down that path and that road and become something in that space is something that I really like hold highly.
Yeah, because you were a Paragon streamer
Yeah.
before. How long did
Yeah.
you stream before it was like that moment where you're like, okay, I've made it?
I want to say it was like maybe like 9 or 10 months, because I think I was streaming Paragon senior year of high school, and then out of senior year of high school I was streaming it for a little bit more. But then like in summer, I think, or like right after summer, you know, Fortnite dropped, and like day one I was on it, and then it was just like it just kept, you know, going and going.
Yeah, and then exploded.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy year. So I do want to talk about your family a little bit. You talk about this on stream, but not everyone knows that you were raised and adopted shortly after birth by your mother's brother and aunt. What has their influence been on you?
It's been great, honestly. They've, you know, they took me in when I was a baby, so I was able to grow up with their children that they had. They had 5 siblings or they had 5 children themselves. So being able to grow up in a large family and see everyone in my family like go through their teenage mistakes and go through whatever it may be.
Look at that.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Wow,
Oh God,
they're
my hair was
beautiful.
awful back then. Oh God. I hate looking at my past hair.
So that was a year ago?
Yeah, right about.
Yeah,
all
when
of
they
it.
shot this?
That was like when we first signed to TSM, and then TSM came out to the house and we shot a video.
So when I was asking you how many siblings you have, you actually forgot one. You have 6 siblings or 7 siblings?
It ended up being 8.
It ended up,
So I guess
okay. I forgot one.
Yeah, I have
Ended
a
up
lot of
being 8.
siblings. It's a big family.
Yeah, I
So
love it.
yeah, I have to like count them on my fingers like whenever somebody asks me. It's awful.
Well, now you know, 8.
Yes.
Everyone knows.
For the record.
Yeah. So you grew up in Dearborn, Michigan, and now you live in LA. How often do you see your family, and do you ever go back home?
The last time I seen them was Thanksgiving, and that was the only time that I went back home since I moved back in May. But I've recently got like a setup that I shipped out there, and I want to like have a home setup so I could go out there more throughout the year and whatnot, and be able to stream and see them.
Yeah, one of the biggest things is having interruptions in your stream.
Yeah.
And if you go home for a few days, see family, your community's like, hey, come back to us. Well, and especially now you're training for the World Cup. So you need to be playing and scrimming.
Yeah. And that's definitely that's primarily my focus right now as well.
Yeah, great. So one more family question. What is your relationship like now with your birth mother?
It's great. I mean, I still love her with all my heart, and I used to see her a lot, and I try to call when I can, and yeah, I just have all the love in the world for her.
Yeah, because you mentioned moms.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes when you're in the same room as each other, it's whoever I'm making eye contact.
Yeah.
It's my mom.
Or sometimes I'll just like troll and like kind of like say mom in the room, and just see which one like reacts
See who
first.
looks first.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing more about your family. But let's talk about you and TSM now. So in January 2018, so just over a year ago, you were signed as their Fortnite Battle Royale captain. Looking back on the year you've been, how would you describe your experience of playing competitively for TSM?
It's been playing for TSM has been a dream come true. I think I've expressed in the past that I'm not necessarily happy with my performances in general. I think just as recently, I've kind of gotten to a mental state where I've been able to grow and work more efficiently and play more efficiently and play better. Recently, TSM hooked me up with a esports psych, and personally, me, like I've never done anything competitive in like my life.
Yeah.
So like there was a lot of things that I didn't know about, like managing and handling nerves and stress and everything like that, and especially after, you know, I had huge expectations, right, and I didn't live up to them, honestly. And then the negative backlash from that affected me in ways, and I needed to learn how to manage that. And now I'm in a place where I feel confident that I could do that.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's special to you is you had this big following so early before the competitive stages of gaming. So then when you didn't have that performance, it wasn't, you know, the 100 people that followed you on Twitter talking back. It was the millions of people on Twitter making comments. It was literally the entire
Fortnite community. Like,
yes.
pretty much, yeah.
So it's good that you have the psychologist now to help you work through that.
Yeah.
But is there any like competitive tips that he's shared with you that you can share with the audience right now who are trying to become part of the competitive industry?
Yeah, I suppose like the biggest thing is like everyone has nerves. You know, there's not a player that doesn't have nerves. There's just players that recognize them and let them be there and don't hone in and focus on them. And the biggest thing is just not to focus on them. Like they're going to be there. Don't let it affect your performance.
Yeah, I think that's great. So they actually did add. Oh
yeah, that's me.
Yeah, we're gonna relive the haircut and we're gonna relive the ball.
The haircut's not too bad.
I actually do like the haircut. I just can't see the top of your head there in this monitor. So what do you remember about being here a year ago?
About being here a year ago, I remember sitting up in the VIP lounge.
Oh, okay, flex.
What? Oh my God. Okay, I remember sitting down next to Optic Hex, and him just kind of like pumping me up for it, and feeling really good going into it, and it was a nice talk to talk to him. Somebody that I also kind of looked up to in the gaming community. I was a big COD kid when I first started like gaming and whatnot. So it was cool to like sit there with someone that like sort of like founded this type of this industry almost.
Oh, yeah, I think the COD days were definitely things that kind of blew things out of proportion before something like Counter-Strike or Fortnite.
Yeah.
So yeah, those guys are great. And a lot of them actually ended up switching up into a little bit of Fortnite. And I know now they play a lot of Apex too. Have you had a chance to play it?
I've played a little bit of Apex, yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
So I know that Ninja has said that he's only going to be focusing on Fortnite until World Event. Are you taking a similar approach?
Yeah, I haven't played any other games, really.
No other games?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm super honed in on Fortnite right now. I still like really enjoy playing the game, especially at a competitive level, so I'm just kind of just sticking to it.
Yeah, that sounds great. So speaking of Ninja, how would you assess your relationship with him? He occasionally takes shots at your quality of play. What is your take on where you and Ninja are at?
Well, I think so Ninja makes satire on the moment that happened here in Ninja Vegas, which is completely fine. I mean, I throw shots and you know, joke about his god-awful 90s, but you know, it's all playful banter, and we both know that at the end of the day. I mean, he even he messaged me after, because I know some people recently misinterpreted the most recent statement at his event in Poland, I think, and he was like, "Myth, please, I didn't mean it that way. I love you," and I was like, "Bro, I got you. You know, I love you back."
Yeah, that's how you settle stuff. I think that's
exactly.
great. Yeah, I think what a lot of the audience doesn't know is like the banter online is here, but sometimes they can just take a seed and grow a plant out of something that's not dramatic at all.
Definitely.
But that's definitely part of the game. So TSM does have a ton of new players. They recently signed Vinny. He ended up winning the 100K at Katowice, I think you were like Katowice.
Yeah, Katowice.
Katowice. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
What impresses you most about his gameplay?
About Vinny, I think like what impresses me the most about Vinny is I mean, his gameplay is very impressive, but I think him as a person also has like another layer on top of that. He's very like humbled, relaxed. He's not like, he doesn't care to be the center of attention, but then he just kind of like shows up and then he wins, and then literally like he's just walking out with this trophy. It's like next to his ankles. He's just like dangling it down on the floor. I'm like,
another day at the office.
Yeah, right. He's just chilling, and that shows he's just, you know, confident in his ability.
Yeah,
I love that.
I think that's great. So you have two other teammates that we haven't talked about yet, Daquan and Hamlins. What are they like to live with?
They're cool. I mean, we're all very respectful of each other's space, I think. At the end of the day, we all like stream in a ridiculous amount of hours, but when we do see each other, like when we're making a video with TSM or whatnot, we'll be
like in these clips.
Yes, we'll be.
Oh.
We have a good time when we can, as you could see.
Yeah, lots of laughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whenever we get the opportunity to hang out, it's always just a great experience. And living with each other, we're never like stepping on each other's toes or anything like that.
I think that's great.
It's
So
really nice.
is there a messiest of the three of you?
Definitely.
Who is it?
Hamlin's.
Oh,
Dude, corn on the cob underneath his bed.
No.
Like,
no.
like Chipotle stacked up to like the side of his bed is bad.
Stacked up.
Like stacked up.
Chipotle every day.
Every day.
Every day. Yeah, I just saw the video recently of you working in the kitchen, actually. Chipotle. What was that like?
Dude, it was exhausting. Yeah, like, I mean, I worked the job before Twitch. I don't want anybody to think that I haven't.
I did ask you that. I was like, have you worked a real job?
yeah, I don't want people to think that I haven't. But like, dude, they do so much prep in the morning, and it's like, it's too early.
Yeah.
Like, stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine. But they got big orders all the time. It gets crazy.
Yeah.
So TSM is a very well-respected org. Their owner, Andy Din, has recently said that he wants to be the Dallas Cowboys or the New York Yankees of esports. Do you feel like there'll be a time where an esports organization is the same size as a traditional franchise?
Definitely. Of course. I think it's just a matter of time.
Yeah. Yeah. The future of gaming is kind of crazy and wild, and we've seen people like Ninja or yourself who've like gained traditional celebrity status through gaming, and it's only going to get crazier.
Of course.
So talking about competitive gameplay now, we're here to play some duos and squads, and against you guys. I can't wait. I hope some of you are, well, you guys aren't warming up yet, but it's going to be fun. So you're still actively competing, but your stream takes up a lot of time. And I know now you're able to make a full-time living off of stream. Is there ever a point where you considered maybe I will go the route of the content creator, or maybe I should focus on pro? And how do you balance that? I know your teammates had the same thing, and then even like I've heard other people who weren't going to come to the secret skirmish because they wanted to stay and create content. How do you describe that balance, and how do you make the right choice in that situation?
So I like to look at my entire career sort of like a storybook. I sort of wrote this story for me that I'm trying to fulfill, where I was the young architect of the community, early builder, and I want to finish it off on a positive note through the competitive scene, and I think I'm able to do that, and I want to finish out that legacy with that that last like hoorah before I decide to pursue down the route of content creator or not.
Yeah, so when you win Worlds, become a farmer, go back to school and create content on the side.
Exactly.
Okay,
Farm
I like
vlogs.
that story. I'll follow that story. Pardon?
Farm vlogs?
Farm vlog, ooh, okay, yeah. I'm into it, I'm into it. So how do you measure your performance at a competitive tournament, and what makes it a good tournament? Because I know probably a lot of the audience are working towards qualifying for Worlds. A lot of the people watching right now are working towards qualifying for Worlds. So when they're in those competitive environments, how can they be like, okay, I might not have got the victory royale, but like I still had a great performance, and how do they keep that good mindset moving forward?
I think the most important part of winning is losing. And if you can't manage a loss properly, then you'll never become a winner. It's plain and simple. The reason why people like Bizzle and the members of Ghost and Liquid are at the top, and Tfue, FaZe, whatever, whoever's at the top 10, top 5, because they understand how to reflect on their loss, and then they implement that into their gameplay immediately.
Yeah.
They don't accept, they don't let failure get them down. Instead, like let it promote them forward. And I think that's like the biggest thing. So you have to have a healthy relationship with failure to translate that into success.
Definitely, and we will be joined by Bizzle later for some games, but Bizzle's a robot, I'm convinced. I don't know, he just deals with loss so easily, and the way that he makes decisions and strategy, it's like artificial intelligence is here.
Yeah, Bizzle's nuts.
It's Bizzle, yeah. So when you first started playing Fortnite, did you consciously focus on becoming a great builder? Because I know you mentioned, the early builder. You were, like, people kind of talk about how you were the guy that created the 1x1.
Yeah.
So did that come organically? I like the claps in the audience, yes.
So,
a 1x1 creator.
So yes, originally in Fortnite, I seen in the early stages a lot of people sort of, going for high kills and not really utilizing the building system because nobody really knew what it would become. And I remember I went up against an Epic employee actually one day, and he was sort of like building walls to block my shots, and I was like, like he keeps getting closer to me and I can't hit him at all. This is something, like, and then I just kept kept just building and going with it. You know, first starting off with the 1x1s, then ramp rushes, and then 180 high ground retakes in like the early days are like the 3 things that I think like I brought to light. And yeah, like I had a huge focus on just wanting to push the building mechanic to the limits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that we talk about that. When I'm hearing those strategies that you're telling me, I'm like, oh, those are prehistoric strategies. Like that was from so long ago, but it was like just over a year ago that these things were being developed. It's crazy how much Fortnite has changed. So for players wanting to improve their building, what do you suggest?
As players want to improve their building, honestly, there's just, if you want to learn a technique, you just Google it and then try to replicate, go into playground, practice, and then try to, I think a big thing is like a lot of people do practice heavily in playground, but there's definitely a difference when you're then put into a live game situation and knowing when to use these certain mechanics. I mean, you could crank your 90s all day, but if you don't actually crank your 90s when it's necessary in game, like, what you cranking 90s for?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, in a few of the situations I've been in competitive situations, they come up to me, they crank their 90s and they just shoot it out and I get the full damage elimination.
You didn't need a crank, dog.
I'm like,
what's cranking for?
I'm like, you can go all the way up, man, I'll watch you. I'm like, yo, choo. I'm like, come back down.
Exactly.
Yeah, so lots of different ways to play Fortnite. So what are your thoughts on the latest version, the current meta? Is there anything you would tweak or change?
I mean, you know, hamster balls are a little bit nuts, but
so in or out,
okay.
or change?
I think it could be changed a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you change?
Maybe like HP.
Maybe the Fortnite developers are watching right now.
Yeah, maybe
put it in.
Maybe the HP that they have, they deal no damage when somebody breaks them. So there's basically there's no risk of getting your ball like popped at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're just kind of like get you to late game for free like items.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. So similar to what they did to the planes before they removed the planes.
Yeah, similar.
And then before they might remove.
Thank God the hamster balls can't like shoot back. Like that would be a disaster.
Yeah, I agree. You are very active and popular on social media and your stream. You are never bashful about your opinions, but yesterday, and I know this past week, there's been a little bit of controversy. Not really, but there's something to be talked about. So I'm gonna read this tweet to you, or do you want to read it for us?
You can read it.
Okay. I'm not saying anything, but there's a reason that it's a male-dominated industry, and it has nothing to do with discrimination. Currently, the people at the top of Fortnite are males, and women have been given the same opportunities as they have, but aren't at the top. What are your thoughts behind this?
Yeah, so I think I mean, there's also a tweet before that where I state that creating you know, like female-only pro teams for the sake of just having female-only pro teams is counterintuitive to what esports is. And I said that basically with the logic of esports has always been an industry dominated by the best, and that's simply what it's been about since the beginning of time. And in that tweet, I was basically just expressing further that it's always going to be just who's at the top is who's getting exposure. If the Gen G girls that are grinding hard right now pop off in the World Cup, they're going to pop off. They're going to get exposure. Yep. And I think it's just as simple as that.
Oh, I do agree with you in a lot of ways, and I think something that's been interesting with Gen G is when they did go into it, they did decide that they didn't focus on women, they focused on creating great players, and kind of seeing what happens when we do put the resources and the org support and the psychologist and the coach behind women, like what will happen now. So this spring is now the first qualifiers that they've prepped for, so it's going to be really exciting to see what happens, and we will be joined by them later on the show. So why, now that it's a level playing field, my opinion has always been women lack the role models of competitive players, and or at least the wanting to be part of that. And one of my favorite players, Miss Harvey, she plays Counter-Strike. Even though she was doing great in the Counter-Strike space, everywhere that I saw online, it wouldn't be negative, or it would be negative, and it didn't feel included. So as a young gamer girl, I was like, oh, like I would love to be open about gaming, but I don't want to receive that kind of negativity, and it caused me to game less and not really want to be part of the pro scene or want to practice enough just to play for fun. So I'm hoping that at Worlds we'll see some incredible women. Hopefully the Gen G girls or people like Danny and Kaylor and Kitsy really pop off and join the fray, so we can have some incredible role models for the 9, 10, 11 girls that we meet in our squad fills. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think that's always great to have people to look up to that you could relate with at the end of the day.
Yeah, because you have Optic. You had Optic, you were just mentioning, as someone that you looked up to as a COD guy. So hopefully the same thing happens for women. Did you get any flack for the comments you were making?
Not really. I feel like I looked through the comments a few times, and it seems like people generally agreed. Maybe I missed something or some comments, but generally it seemed to be overwhelmingly like on my side.
Yeah. Yeah. So what, in your opinion, is something that we can do to change that? Like.
To change what? Sorry.
To bring more women into it, other than role models.
To bring more women into esports?
Into esports, yeah.
I just think that at the end of the day, they just have to be top performers. There's no other route. I mean, I've been part of TSM, and I've learned so much about the industry and being a professional gamer and what it takes. And it's simply, if you're on the top of the leaderboard, you're going to get signed. So I think that's the number one thing.
So keep grinding.
Yeah.
It is a level playing field.
Yeah, and although there may not be any current role models, be your own one if you need to be.
Okay, I like that. So for all the women watching right now, be your own role model and make sure you're practicing scrimming and becoming part of those open qualifiers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe you'll find some of them on the battlefield.
I can't wait to see it, honestly.
Yeah.
There's space for both, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really excited to see that, and yeah, definitely in my lifetime. So you were streaming earlier. We actually have some footage of that. What was it like streaming from the HyperX arena?
It was nice. Yeah, the chat really enjoyed it.
Like, where are you?
Exactly. Yeah, it's nice being able to stream from a different location, get a different vibe in it, and just. And to me, I think it gives me a little bit more energy. I'm able to like look around and not just see like a wall. Like I literally turned around and he was killing it, ranking his 90s.
But wait, what were you doing? So was this your camera on stream, or?
Yeah, that was my camera on stream.
Okay. Yeah. I like it.
But yeah, so being able to look around and just see people all around. There's some people walking by the glass, like cheering me on while I was streaming. It's really nice. I personally like enjoy the experience of like people gaming around me. I wasn't always like, I wasn't born into gaming online, I guess. I remember, playing Halo with like a room full of people from my middle school or elementary school. And I think I really, really like that experience of just having like that basement feel,
Yeah, I agree. There's something that's to be said about having the chat, like live chat feed hypes you up, but then when you get to see the actual faces of the people that are in chat, that also hypes you up.
Yeah.
I think that's great. So yeah, it's a really fun environment to be in here today. So one question, so the past year, did you ever consider yourself not a pro and a content creator? And right now in this moment, do you label yourself as a pro or a pseudo-pro content creator?
I think right now I still consider myself as a pro, as a professional gamer. I think in the past I've always, when there was times where I was more doubtful about how I was playing the game and the way that I was performing and the way I was analyzing how I played and how I was making certain flaws, I was definitely more, questioning, like, do I got what it takes, basically.
Yeah.
But that's definitely like not my mindset right now. Like I'm pretty set on being a pro.
So yeah, I think people that have the opportunity to be a content creator, like we talked earlier, is that balance all the time and reminding yourself that you do need to practice and you do need to scrim. And while it looks really fun and easy to do the content creation, it's fueled by the elements of the pro and the skill.
Yeah.
So yeah, totally. Well, thank you for joining me here. We are going to be headed now over to our pods, getting set up for our duos. We're gonna get one game to warm up. Don't worry, we don't have to play these fierce competitors right away, and we'll be sending you guys to breaks. So if you follow me over here, I'll show you where your pod is at, and we'll get set up.